Hey, good morning, everyone. Bless the Lord for another day. It's a blessing because some people didn't wake up this morning. So I just say to God be the glory. Thanks for another day. Thanks for another opportunity of life to get myself together and to just in general be thankful, grateful for everything that the Lord has done for me. I just want to say something real quick because it's kind of funny and interesting, but I was watching this show the past few days and I watched the episodes on YouTube, but I'm not getting caught up in all the drama or nothing. I just wanted to see what different type of people this world has, because nobody's the same. That's the good thing about life, that it would be a boring life if everybody did things or acted the same. But what I'm trying to say is this. Now, I forgot what part of Proverbs, what chapter and verse it comes from. It may be around like chapter 20, something like that, where it says, he which findeth a wife findeth a good thing. And I've been thinking about that verse the past few days, since like Friday or Saturday, since I've done watched those episodes on YouTube of that show called Find Love or Pop the Balloon. So the thing that interests me the most, though, is I didn't think about something like I did before. What I'm referring to is that I always used to think that when a person gets married and finds somebody for him, I used to think that that was automatically God who blessed that person. And the reason why I say this is because James 1:17 says every good and perfect gift comes from above, meaning the Lord. So, but that's not necessarily, well, that's true. But in other words, once again, the verse says, he which findeth a wife findeth a good thing. And that's simply summing up saying that when that man finds a woman, the one for him, God already knew that it was going to happen, that that man was going to propose to that woman. They soon were going to become husband and wife. That's what that verse is referring to. But at the same time, we have to keep in mind that when it comes to man's ways, a lot of what we do is based off of our own character, what we like, what we are looking for. And what I mean by that is God, when it comes to doing things in a righteous, holy way, that's how God works. But when it comes to man, like a lot of things I noticed about that show that are really interesting, and I was just kind of laughing in my head or shaking my head like, wow, because it was certain people on there, man and woman, that, like, for example, some men were dressed with jeans and other things like that, and some of the women were like telling the man straight up, like, you're not my type, the physical attraction. And once again, I can understand where they're coming from, but the problem is, like they say, don't judge a book by its cover. And the way I look at that in this case is that you can't just look at the fact because a person is dressed a certain way right there on the spot, that's what represents their overall character. Because, like, of course, I'm a respectful old school romantic type of guy. So, but the key thing is this: just because you're going on a date doesn't mean that every single time you need to wear something casual. Because I personally feel like nothing's wrong with sometimes wearing jeans and a nice casual shirt and some basic shoes, whether tennis shoes or casual shoes. But what I'm trying to say is other people may look at that different. Like a lot of women may think you're not the one for me because we on a date and you have some tennis shoes on. And that right there is an example of why are you judging a book by its cover? Like, I feel like personally in a marriage, when people are married, they need to find out what they like about each other and what they don't like about each other. And it's two ways to go about the situation. You can say, I truly love this person, meaning that no matter what happens and goes on, I'm going to love this person, respect them. Even if we can't agree on things, we're going to agree to disagree. But then you can also say, like they say in a wedding, for better or for worse. So you can say this person does some things that I don't like, But I'm going to sit there and see if they don't mind changing some things about their character themselves that I don't like, and I'm willing to do the same thing myself. So if this person doesn't like this about me, I'm definitely willing to change, but I also want them to change some things about what they do and how they act about themselves for me. And that's the way that a relationship should go. But the overall thing is this: when you love a person, you're going to accept that person for who they are, regardless of what they do or other things. Now, of course, the Bible in 1 Corinthians 7 talks about, or I think it's another chapter, it talks about, it talks about 1 Corinthians 7 about being unequally yoked. But I know or have seen people that are married that in some ways are unequally yoked, but they're still able to get along, work things out, be on one accord. And that's the whole point of what I'm saying here. When it comes to a relationship, if you all know how to work things out, if you all can peacefully talk to each other and not argue and not debate, or even if you do, you all can still work things out and go to sleep without holding a grudge, that's the key thing that matters. But the funny thing that I just was shaking my head and thinking to myself, that don't make no sense. When I watch those shows on YouTube, Find Love or Pop the Balloon, what had me thinking like, oh my goodness, are you kidding me? Because like, let's say a guy came out, because it was different episodes. One episode, you can have one guy and 7, 8, or however many women looking for a man, or you could have one woman and 7 or 8 guys looking for a woman. But the key thing is this: some men would be right there. I mean, one guy could come out and a woman could sit there and pop her balloon because she right there on the spot is saying something about, like I heard on some of the episodes, some woman was saying, I like darker men, I like brown skinned men, I want him to be dark, I like chocolate, a chocolate looking man. And I get that, nothing's wrong with that. But at the same time, if you really truly are just saying, I don't like this person because of the color of their skin, that's fine. But at the same time, you shouldn't just, I'm not saying anybody's right or wrong. I'm just saying, if you like a person, you shouldn't go by necessarily what they're wearing, if they have dreads, braids, all this other stuff. Like some women on that show were saying that they like a man with facial hair. Now, men don't have control over things like that. Like me, I don't have sideburns. It's other men in the world who have a beard and a mustache, but they don't have sideburns. You don't have no control of it. Now, it may be some things you can do, like going to the store, because some people always talk about you got to let your hair grow. Well, I've never ever in my life had sideburns, facial hair. Some of my uncles on my mom and dad's side have sideburns while the other ones don't. So the whole point is that it's some stuff you can't control. It was some other episodes where some women were talking about, well, I'm sorry, I just don't dig, or I can't do short guys. And I respect that. But once again, if you're just saying you're not going to date this guy, talk to him because he's too short for you, or you want a guy taller than you, I get that. But at the same time, to a certain point, that's wrong for just not liking that person because of their height. Because what I'm saying, that in a spiritual way, God doesn't judge his people by our character, because God is a spirit. So God doesn't have no height, no weight, all these other things that man has. So all I'm saying is, in a spiritual sense, to be real, in a loving, godly form or fashion way, the true way to go about it, like I forgot to say this, when it comes to a relationship, you, like the Spirit of God, the only way a person should say, this person's not the one for me, this person's not my type, is when the Spirit of God gives you that revelation, that spirit of discernment, to let you know for a fact, not what you think, but God confirmed and told you that this person is not for you. This person is just a friend, so it shouldn't be more than a friend, nothing less. So the whole point is you can't just sit there and just say because how you feel that makes it right if a person is for you, because God knows for a fact if that person is for you or not. But if you're just leaning to your own understanding, which the Bible says don't do, then that's what gets a lot of people in trouble, because you're saying, I don't like this person because of what they got on, and that may be the first, or clearly that's the first time you ever seen them, but you can't just go by what they have on at that time, because different people, man or woman, have different ways of style and fashion. So you can't just say because this person is dressed this way right now that they're not the one for me, because a man has jeans on at that time don't mean that he never wears a suit or something casual. And that's what we have to be careful about. We can't just look at how this person is right now and say, oh, this person is not for me, this ain't gonna work out. Some people like to switch things up, while some people do this particular thing on a regular basis all the time. And all I'm trying to say is that's the problem with man's ways. We judge the situation or a person. Like I heard some people say, and I can understand that some women on the show were like, do any of y'all smoke, or do any of you all have a child? If so, go ahead and pop the balloon, because if you have a child, I'm sorry, but I don't want no baby daddy or baby mama drama. And also, I want my own child, and I respect that. But the key thing that I'm saying is that when you find love and when you believe that you have feelings for a person and are not judging them for things about them, you're not going to make a big deal about things that they do or have. You're going to sit there and see if you all are compatible and work things out regardless of what the situation looks like or how the situation is. And that's all I'm trying to say here, because when it comes to a spiritual matter, what God looks at is that person's heart. And it says this in 1 Samuel 17 or something like that. It says, man looks at the outer appearance, but God looks at the heart, meaning your mind, the inside, the trueness of you. Because you can look or act a certain way on the outside, the flesh, but be faking it, because the inside of you, your soul, your mind is saying something completely different than what you just said out of your mouth, which is the flesh. And that's all I'm trying to say now. See, we have to learn how to respect people and not just say, okay, this person does this or that person doesn't do this, so I'm gonna automatically eliminate them. At least give it a try and say, even though I don't like this about this person, I can still talk to this person as a friend and get to know them. And that will let me know if we're compatible, if we need to keep going, if we need to just be friends, or we need to cut it off right now. That's the more productive way of going about the situation versus saying, no, I'm not going to do it. And that's the problem with mankind in general. We like to judge people based on how we feel, and we don't really do it based on a right way. We do it based on our opinions, how we feel. And that's not the productive, respectful, right way to go about it. But that's my whole point. We have to learn how to love each other. And if a person is disrespectful and sassy, of course, that lets you know right there, this ain't going to work out unless this person learns to work on themselves and humble themselves and stop doing what they're doing. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say, that it's a way to do things, the right way and the wrong way. And relationships aren't hard. It just depends on the people. If you're trustworthy, loyal, respectful, all that other good stuff, or if you're the opposite. Because if you're not trustworthy, if you're a person that cheats on somebody, then the relationship sooner or later is not going to work out. It's not going to even be worth being in a relationship, because you're not a trustworthy, compatible type of person, whether a man or woman. But that's my whole point that I wanted to say, that I just wanted to mention to God's people out there today, that we have to learn how to love ourselves, and most importantly, we have to learn how to respect other people's views and opinions about us, and respect what they do, even though we may not like it or don't agree with what they do. But that's all I wanted to say. To God be the glory. God bless you, and have a great rest of your day.